Okay, good evening. The time is now 6:32. This is the Town of Plainfield Board of Selectmen public hearing for the Town Charter Revision for July 11th at 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask if you wouldn't mind rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. So for those with an agenda, you'll note on item number 2, we're going to review the proposed revisions for the Charter Revision Committee, what they came forward with. First item up was section 2.5b, shall the dollar amount of the non-budgeted appropriations be updated from $10,000 to $50,000 minimum and from $50,000 to $200,000 maximum before a town meeting is needed. And in review of this, so people who are listening to this for the first time, this is an adjustment that was made based on the fact that the charter that we're working off of still has the 1984 dollar values in them. So this is a charter that was adopted originally November 6, 1984, and that's why the $10,000 originally, between $10,000 and $50,000, was deemed as a too much of a minimum number because of today's dollar values. So I know that we reviewed this and talked a little bit about it. I thought it was a fair increase to $50,000 minimum and $200,000 maximum. Just to give people an example of what that has been doing so far, we've had multiple town meetings. We're requesting monies that were not appropriated in the budget, and between $10,000 and $50,000 is fine. But then if anything more than that, it would require us then to get that vote passed in order to go to referendum. And that's what costs a lot of money. So that's why the modification was suggested. And I'm hoping that the public does get an opportunity to really understand and hear these numbers and why they're requesting to be adjusted. If you'd like, we can go on to section 2.5d. In relationship to the dollar values, this is another one here in the section 2.5d, shall the minimum dollar amount of the shared grants be increased from $10,000 to $50,000 before going to a town meeting is needed. We have been, I think we did 3 of them so far. We have to go to a town meeting because a shared grant, by the way, is if you were asking for a grant and it requires the town of Plainfield to take money out of its general fund. Anything over $10,000 requires you then to go to a meeting and therefore get the approval of the townspeople to do so. So I think the adjustment to $50,000 is appropriate in this case. There's a lot of different grants that the grant writer can go after, which are in that $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 range. And it means every single time having to come to a meeting to do so, to get approval. If there's no comments on that, then we can go to section 4.1e. Shall the office of town clerk be changed from an elected to an appointed position? There's pros and cons to all of these, and I think the pro in this one, in my opinion, is you are looking for the process. The process is if you have an interview process by which you have multiple people in a meeting and there's applications in front of you to go through those applicants, do the interview process, find who's right for the town, and then be able to hire them for a longer term of time. There is a lot of certifications and requirements for town clerk. For those people who don't understand it, there's a lot of certifications that need to be done. And so this would be an at-will position. If that person that was chosen isn't something that we think is appropriate, we can also go back to that, as well as the other ones for 4.1f, to say that we're looking for someone else instead and move forward for more applicants. So the other one we just mentioned was 4.1f, shall the office of tax collector be changed from an elected to appointed position? And this is also a position which requires a lot of background and research and certifications. So I think that's similar to what we talked about with 4.1e. And it's always the process, making sure that when you have an opening like that, that the first thing that's going to be done would be you have resumes coming in, for the job opening. You would have interviews being done, and the final process again comes in front of the Board of Selectmen for the final vote. Just for clarification for these last two, 41E, 41F, in this last election, we had people who were elected for a 4-year term. According to the state of Connecticut, we would be required to allow them to finish out that 4-year term, and then we would have the applicants come forward, because then it would be an appointed position at that point. So far, from the audience, any comments or questions? If not, in the back of the room I did put the agenda. I put those 4 questions. I also put a piece of paper that shows something I'm going to propose. And that's, this is related to Section 3.4. Section 3.4 of the Charter does speak, as it's written right now, 3.4, voting districts and polling places. Voting districts and polling places within the town may be established, consolidated, divided, and or redivided in the manner provided by the general statutes. I'm looking to do something which is the Registrar of Voters' suggestion, and they wanted to make it so that there's actually 2 voting places, and it reads, shall the voting places established in Plainfield special acts, because there are special acts related to it, but they shall be considered from 4 to 2 to include Plainfield Town Hall as voting district 1-44 and 1-47. For those who don't know, we have been redistricted. It's no longer 45th, it's now called the 47th. So the Registrar of Voters has a new map if you're interested in looking at that. So it reads that to include the Plainfield Town Hall, voting district 144 and 147, and the Moosa Fire District, voting district number 2 for the 44th district. For all November federal, state, and municipal elections, and no longer establish both Central Village Fire Station and the Mohegan Fire Stations as polling places. I know that they had made mention of this, I think, in your very first meeting for the Charter Revision, and they were talking about how it doesn't make sense to continue to have an example like for Regan, and you have the last national election, I think, was 122 total people coming in, where you could be better establishing support at the different polling places, like Oregon would go to the Moosa Firehouse, and then Central Village would come over to Plainfield. In doing so, you're saving yourself quite a bit of money in the referendums, because you're now paying for 2 polling places to be open, and therefore less staffing. So that was my proposal. I know we have in front of us as Board of Selectmen an opportunity to discuss all 5, and also from the public, this is your chance to say something about anything that's been written, discussed, any new thoughts, because this is a step where I'll use the hypothetical, so I don't want to lead anybody, but I want to do the hypothetical. You have 4 questions in front of you. If you thought that the 5th one that I talked about tonight was something you wanted to bring forward, if we were to vote on it for Board of Selectmen saying to move it forward, then you'd have to have one more special meeting by the Charter Revision to say yay or nay to it. And then at that point, if it's a yay or nay, whichever you decide, then it goes to print. So the next step after that print would then lead to all the following steps to make sure it goes to the state and also to the attorney. The attorney would verify valid wording for it to be placed as a question, and also valid wording after it gets voted, if it was to be voted in each one, to go into the charter. So the state of Connecticut gets it as well, does the same thing. They look for legalities, look for the way it's worded. And at that point, once it's out in the press, then it goes to the final stages, which is going to the selectmen for a final vote. And then we put it forward to the November election, getting it ready for the ballot. So I'm hoping that helps to understand what our steps are. One more time, is there anybody from the public that has anything else to say about these 4 or the last question that was asked? Or if there's anything else? Okay.
Are we going to discuss and act on this
Yeah.
meeting?
right now, you have to do it now in order to bring it forward.
Okay. So let me ask you about the voting districts. Do we know how that's broken up?
Yep. I would have loved to have had a registrar of voters here tonight to show us the actual map of 47 and 44, because that's how it would break down. Really, it's just a matter of the 44th district going into...
Well, the reason I asked, I know 44th is going to be pretty much War Regan, Central Village, Musso. 47th is pretty much Plainfield. South Cemetery, well, further up now. But so I'm just wondering why there's two districts in 44.
There is a split of 44. There are some people that are, in other words, we can't think of this as 4 villages of the town of Plainfield anymore.
Yeah.
It just goes by whatever the voting districts are from the state of Connecticut, 44th and 47th, and that's it.
Okay. Because we're breaking it from 5 districts down to 3. So they established the 5 districts somehow.
Years ago.
There were 2 here, 44, 45th, and then there were 3, 44, I would imagine, right? Or Regan, so Central Village. Just wondering how they broke it down. Because that's already done, correct?
Yes.
They already did that.
Yep.
Do you need a motion on this moving forward?
Yeah, actually, a motion on all 5. You approve all the other 4 and that one. Whatever your pleasure is, that's fine.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. So we need to move into review and act.
For a special meeting for the charter revision, has to have one more special meeting, because now we're giving them more to do. If it was just saying just those 4, we're done and we print it. If they act on this and they approve, yes, we think this is a good idea, our next select meeting at the end of the month, we can go ahead and finalize the 5 questions. So if that's your pleasure, finalize the 5 questions, and then it goes to press. It goes to the town clerk and also. Good evening. The time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this Board of Selectmen meeting for July 11th to order, and ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance is to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and roll call.
Art Gagnon.
Scott Bergen.
Kevin Cunningham. Item C, to approve the meeting minutes from regular Board of Selectmen meeting from 6/27.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 6/27/22.
I will second that. And you're going to abstain for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item D, public comment. Hearing none, old business has none. Before we get into new business, I would like to add 2 items to the agenda. I am calling it 1A and 1B. 1A is a discussion on the security cameras. And entertain a motion for discussion on security cameras for 1A.
So moved.
Second.
Art and Scott, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And item 1B, discussion on town hall garage. Motion?
Motion to add 1B to the agenda, town garage.
Second.
And thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 1, discuss and approve a resolution authorizing the submittal of a community investment fund grant application for the wastewater treatment plant and collection system improvement project. In new business item number 1, it's a resolution. That's really what it needs to be done for, in order for them to actually go for the application itself. You'll see here that it says that it's authorizing submittal of a community investment fund grant application for wastewater treatment plant and collection system improvement project for the town of Plainfield through the Board of Selectmen. This is an opportunity for the community investment funds, which goes, I believe, up to up to what we designate, and I think the third one down says, whereas the town of Plainfield has demonstrated their commitment to the project, earmarking already $3.4 million for the ARPA, that we want to do these sewer upgrades and improvements. We believe that the Community Investment Fund grant is, I believe, up to $10 million. So that's what he's looking to earmark at this point. All I would need at this point is your blessing to have the resolution approved, authorizing submittal of a Community Investment Fund grant application for the wastewater treatment plant and collection system improvements project for the town, for the Plainfield Board of Selectmen. Questions, comments, motions?
You answered my question, how much it was,
Okay.
grant would be. That's all.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, the submittal of Community Investment Fund grant application, wastewater treatment plant, collection system improvements project.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 1A, camera security, that was just added. You'll see my comments and notes. So the town attempted to require camera security systems and installation services for cameras at the Highway Department and Moosewood Veterans Park to ensure our equipment in park is monitored for safety. For those who don't know, we've had some issues at the Moosewood Veterans Park. We've had issues at the Plainfield Little League. We are very concerned with all our equipment that goes up at the Highway Department. So what I did was I did the same thing we were requiring to, I wanted to go out to bid, and I wanted to go very quickly. Getting the camera systems here at the town hall, I was shocked. There's nobody that wants to do the work, and when I'm looking for someone to do the work immediately because we want to protect the investments, there's definitely nobody else. So what we did was we tried to acquire multiple vendors, didn't have anybody, but we did have the same vendor that was willing to do our town hall, and so they were looking to put it in each for $5,000. So if you notice in your procurement policy, on section 2, it just says purchase of between 2 and 10, that you're trying to do the informal bids. There was no one else to go bid. And I did try to call that again. So I just wanted you to be aware of that that was attempted. Item 1B talks about it's a town hall garage, which is now being, foundation was poured already. I asked our building inspector, Rick, to come up with some plans, as you can see in your paperwork, all associated to it. There were plans, there was talking to all different companies. He does have all the particulars if you want to go back and take a look at every one of them. Each one trying to get this all coordinated in one time was almost impossible, but he did go out to do informal bids on each one of these. And the same thing occurred with trying to find people who wanted to do it. Not only that, but also timing, is trying to get everybody to work together. So it was very difficult. And so this, I just wanted you to be aware, this is what it was. And if you want for the next meeting, you can have him show you all the bids that came back and what they were. But that's a very, very good price for the whole package, putting it together. And I think that we had the delivery, if you take a look outside, there's delivery from Jordan Sawmill, and the actual price came in lower than what he originally estimated. So I didn't want it to go unnoticed that we were doing something. I wanted you to know what happened and why we started working on it immediately. So that brings us to item 2. Item 2 says, consider an act on tentative agreement between the Town of Plainfield, Water Pollution Control Authority, and ASCME Council for AFL-CIO Local 1303 for a collective bargaining agreement covering the periods between July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2027. Action by the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Plainfield pursuant to the Connecticut General Statute 7-474C, B. What we would ask at this point is to make a motion to go to executive session with Town Council, so that the whole packet can be explained, and when we come back out, we can talk about it a little further, but I'd entertain a motion to go to executive session with intent to review the tentative agreement with Town Council.
Make a motion to go into executive session. discuss a tentative agreement with Board of Pollution Control with Town Council.
Motion's made.
Second.
And thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the time is now 7:07. We're going to go to executive session. Okay, the time is now 7:49. I would entertain a motion to come out of executive session with no action taken.
Make a motion to come out of the executive session with no action taken.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So on item 2, we were to consider and act on a tentative agreement between the Town of Plainfield Water Pollution Control Authority and ASCME Council for AFL-CIO Local 1303 for the collective bargaining agreement between covering the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th of 2027. And then we are here now to discuss and take action. What is your pleasure?
Let me ask you,
The selectmen.
with just that one. Yeah, okay. I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 7-474B to approve the funds necessary to implement the tentative agreement between the Water Pollution Control Authority, Town of Plainfield, and Local 1303-164 of Council Number 4, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO, reached at the table between the parties on May 31st, 2022 for a collective bargaining agreement covering the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Art's made motion, Scott has seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have implemented and approved for the funds necessary. We will move forward with that immediately. And other, I just wanted to mention for those who are interested that the Town of Plainfield has been doing some events. Obviously the music in the park every Wednesday, but tomorrow is a special event. It is the Vietnam Veterans Ceremony, which the Lieutenant Governor will be here for, and we anticipate probably about 50 or 60 people. That will be, we'll try to get it up outside, and the alternate will be here inside in case there's bad weather. But that will be at 5 p.m. for those people interested in showing up. Also this week, it'll be Thursday, we're hoping again for good weather, and that'll be downtown Plainfield, and that'll be Plainfield Bike Night. For those interested, I think it's 5 to 9, and again, we're hoping for good weather for that as well. Just one more quick follow-up also for the August 6th. It's Celebrate Plainfield Day right here at the Lions Park. I think it's 10 to 3. After that, that evening is supposed to be the fireworks at the Shepherd Hill Field, and that is at 9 o'clock, weather permitting. For the other event after that is August 14th, I think it is. The 14th is the VJ Parade, and kicks off at 101 downtown Noosa. And if there's anything else that comes up for events, we'll let you know. But again, that's what's going on in the other. I definitely appreciate people who are showing up to these events, so please watch the town website or Facebook page for those events. With that, we'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye at 7:53. Thank you very much.